Hello and welcome to Hixxy Studio. In this video I have got this lovely spring daffodil card to share with you, and I am using this set from Crafter's Companion. It's from the Gemini March Daffodil range, and it the range is, they have a monthly flower. This one, as we're in March, we're doing March daffodils. It has a set of stamps. Yeah, put these on here, you can see this way up. So you've got the large daffodil, you've got a daffodil bird, a leaf. You've got these two little sentiments. Sorry, because my stamps are the other side, they look a little bit hazy. You've got Spring has sprung and Sending Smiles, both of which fit in this little kind of pendant thing. You've got Hello Sunshine, March and Daffodil, which are all a similar script. And then you've got the quote from Wordsworth, which is the one I've used here. Then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. Okay, so to make this nice big 8x8 card, I have teamed this up with an embossing folder. This is Creative Expressions Forget Me Not Frame. It's a 3D embossing folder. So we're going to start with this, and then we'll get on to the stamping. So let's put that to the side. I have a piece of white stamping card that I have cut for my just slightly bigger either side, but I'm not actually going to emboss it yet, because I put it in there because I want to position my oval, because I'm going to cut this oval out. You could alternatively cut an oval and stick it on the top, but I thought it would be quite nice to cut it as an aperture. So I'm just positioning that, and I'm going to tape it and run this through the embossing the machine. It's just, I'm going to stick it, and then I'm just going to double check that I haven't moved it, that it is still pretty much where I want it to be. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. Am I? No, maybe I'm going to move it up a little. I'm being fussy. I'm going to move it up just a tad. So it's always worth taking the time, because once you cut it, then you know it's too late. It won't make a huge amount of difference, but I just feel it needs to be a little bit nearer the top than it was. We'll go with that. Right, there. Oops. Now my tape's doing a runner. And there. Okay, so we're going to run this through. More like to grab my plate, so I don't need that. So what I need is my cutting plate, my plastic shim, and then my other cutting plate. And run that through. Now it's what we call a simple die. There's no intricate things. So that plate combination on the Gemini should be more than enough. You don't want to be putting more pressure on. You can always add more if this hasn't cut. You can always add more, but I can see that that's cut. That's the biggest reason why plates bend, is because you know, and I'm as guilty as anyone of this, of putting too much pressure through. I mean, the pressure is there, and it's great, and it's you know, we want it for certain things, but you know, use it wisely. Okay, so now I have my aperture cut. Now I'm going to put this through with the embossing folder. I'm just going to double check I've got that the right way. Some embossing folders have like on the front, they'll have, you know, the brand name, but these ones don't. So we just check. So this is the recess part, and that's what we want, because then the card will be pushed up into those bits, and we'll get that nice embossed. To be honest with you, if I got it the wrong way around, it wouldn't matter, because the card is the same colour both sides, so I would just flip it over. I'm just trying to line it up so I've got it equally in each side. To be honest with you, I could have would have been a bit less of a faff if I'd have just cut it bigger. But I was trying to save card and trying to do the minimum amount of card. So for this embossing folder, I am using the 2 plates, I think. I'm just gonna we'll run it through on that, and then we'll see, because it's I can hear it making a sound, which means it's doing something to the paper. 3D embossing folders are much thicker than all other ordinary types of embossing folder, so using the minimum plates. So yeah, that's perfect. We've got a really lovely emboss on that. Now I've hit the top, probably didn't push it in far enough, but all I will do is when I guillotine this bit off here, I will also guillotine it right up so that it sort of matches top and bottom. Okay, so we've done our embossing. So we're just going to do a little bit of inking with this now. Bring in my inking mat. And I am using, and these inks I'm going to be using to paint the daffodil in a moment as well. So it all blends in. I've got mustard seed, I've got carved pumpkin, and I have mowed lawn. So those are my 3 colours. So I'm going to literally start with, literally, I don't know why I said literally. I'm going to start with the mustard seed, and I am going to sort of go all over. Now, the raised areas, you can see, really pick up the ink, which is one of the really lovely features about inking over embossing folders. If you're really, and I'm going to try it, but I'm not really light-handed, you can just pick out those raised bits if that's what you wanted. It's not what I want, so I'm going to keep going with my ink, and I am going to grab myself a piece of paper just so that I can use it to rest my fingers on, rather than putting my fingers all over the inky bit and then transferring it to my lovely finished piece, which I have been known to do. Okay, so we're getting our lovely bright, I've chosen 3 quite bright colours here for this card. And if you check on our channel, there will be 3 different videos using this, all using different colouring mediums. So this one I'm using the oxides. I've got one with the Cosmic Shimmer pearlescent watercolour inks, and I've got one with some watercolour pencils as well. So you can see what it looks like with this sort of 3 different mediums. So I'm now going in with my carved pumpkin, and I can see already I've gone a lot heavier handed than I did on that one, but it's okay. So I'm going to bring this in. I'm not bringing it in as far this time. I'm getting some around the edge here, and around here too, but not going right through. I am going to do the inner part though. I've got a bit of an orange kind of finish to it there. Now, one thing I am going to do before I go any further is to actually chop this bit of card off, just so that I can make sure I get the right sort of edge that I want. I remember I said I was going to go quite close up to that bottom, and that's not close enough to make it reflect what happened at the top, where I didn't push it in quite as far as I could have done. Okay, so it does make a difference to now have that edge there, because it will catch the ink in a different way to that being just a flat piece. So we've got our carved pumpkin. This is that one. And then I'm going to then just bring a little bit of orange in from the centre as well. And then once I've done this, I'll get the last of the colours, the mowed lawn. I've definitely gone brighter on this version of the card, but quite like it actually. Right, so I've got a bit of orange around the middle. So what I'm going to do now, in fact, I'm going to just bring that orange in a little bit more. Not in a massive way, but just bring it in a little bit more. Just to warm that bright acidy yellow up a little bit. Like so, and then we're going to get our mowed lawn and bring that in right on the edges as a lovely edge to our card. Now it looks very different, this green, to what I've got here, because I have gone much darker with the yellow. But I think it can take it. Like so. Okay. Right, now once this is done, we're going to use the large daffodil stamp. In fact, I think we're going to use all of the little bits and pieces. We're not, I'm not using the little, oh, a bit heavy-handed there. We're not using the little dangly, pendenty, whatever it is. I'm going to have to go around a little bit more with this green, because look at the difference where I've gone quite heavy over here and I haven't over here. So we want that to kind of otherwise it's going to look uneven. So we're going back in with a bit of the green, make it nice and bright, much brighter version. There we go. There we have. If you have a look, you see. Oh, I don't. That's way off the camera. Sorry. So that one is a bit brighter. Right. So we can put our frame to one side now, and I am going to mop this lot of ink up. I do need some ink to paint with, but all this is a bit mixed, so it's not going to give me the sort of the individual colours that I want. So I'm going to spray that, and I'm going to grab a piece of rice paper. I'm sorry, see it's already got oranges and yellows on, so it's just adding to this, like so. Nice sort of really acidy colours there. Right, what we're going to do now is we're going to get the stamp press in. I've got Tim Holtz stamp press here. Just going to move the inks to the side for the moment, just so that I don't put my fingers and everything in them. And I'm going to bring in my, no I'm not, stamping, not colouring yet. I need the stamps. So here we go. Bring that round, put my piece of card. This bit of paper is because quite often when I'm demoing, I don't take the stamp out while I'm doing the demo, and I just put it there just to stop the ink from making too much of a mess on my my stamping platform. So we're going to put this down, and I might move the magnets in a minute once I've worked out where I'm putting my stamp. So we want the daffodil, so I'm going to put the daffodil here. Now these, we're going to use the dies as well in this card, so it doesn't really matter where I'm putting the stamps as long as I can get the dies around them. The other thing I'm going to do is I am going to emboss. Once I've stamped, I'm going to emboss. So let's get ourselves ready for doing all of that at the moment. Let's just fold that, and I'm going to get my piece of paper, guys, over there for a minute, and my embossing powder, just clear embossing powder, and I'm just going to press those down. They're all down, and grab my versafine, and oh, it didn't pick up. Now that could be because of where I put the magnet. I know sometimes my, there we go, yeah. sometimes where you put the magnet just stops the top of the thing from pressing down enough, and then it will also affect your actual stamped image. So let's ink up these. Okay. We've got everything covered. The lid back on the ink. And again, if everything isn't quite, no, now I put that completely in the wrong place. Let's move that. That would really prevent me from pressing down on my press because it was underneath this bit. So I am going to give this a really good press down, and then we're going to see how we're doing. Oh, not bad. Missed a bit there. Give it another good press. No, I might have to stand up. Excuse me. So I can get over the top of this. And there we have mostly the trumpet of the daffodil. There we are. Super, super, super. And we're going to quickly whiz that out. Put my little bit of paper in there. Get our embossing powder in while it's still wet. And I need a new thing of embossing powder. I'm running out, and it's also, because I'm so messy, it's got all sorts of bits in it, but they don't tend to cling anyway, so we're okay. Ooh, we're missing a bit. I'm just gonna grab a bit. We're missing a bit off the daffodil there. It might be that the ink had dried before I managed to get the embossing powder on. Okay, and put the embossing powder away, and then we're going to heat emboss this before we start our painting in of our little bits and pieces. Okay, so we've got this little bit. I don't think I said when we were looking at the stamps, this tiny little kind of bit which I've used on the ribbon. And then we've got a leaf here. And when you're heat embossing, you'll see it start to turn. This goes all sort of glossy, and then move your heat tool on. Don't waft it around like that. Just concentrate it in an area. Once the powder starts to melt, move your heat gun on. Let's check I've got everywhere. I think that's it. Okay, excellent. Right, so now we are going to colour these in. So I'm going to bring in my little white tile and my inks again. Same three colours, so it will tone in with my this frame that we've inked, my water, and my paintbrush. Okay, so we're going to start with the petals, the yellow petals. So I'm going to put some of our mustard seed down and a little bit of water, and I'm going to start by just going over the petals, and it's fairly watered down, so it's fairly pale, and then we can build that up with the shadows as we go. And the little bits of that are embossed will repel, with distress. Oxides are opaque, so they do kind of go over, but they will repel where they can. If you did this straight onto a stamped image with the oxides, then they would kind of go over the top of the stamped part. not obscure it, but kind of mute it a little bit. So I like to use some embossing powder. I've gone over a little bit there, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. And I want a little bit in here, and also in our little version down here. Okay, now I'm going to go back in now with less watered down, and I'm going over the bits where you've got those embossed lines, because that's showing you that's where the shadow is, and also along there, because you've got that one petal is over the other, and that will always create a bit of a shadow. Just gonna blend that in a little bit and go back into the darker part, and all the way up in here, this little bit here, and down along this bit here, because that's underneath that bit at the top. And then back in with a bit more watered down, just to blend that in. And on this petal here, oh look, I didn't go back and do that one. Let's go back and do that before it gets too dry. So just added that darker in. So we've managed to do the shading, but it's still just one ink pad. We've managed to get the shading in with exactly the same ink pad there. And then we're going to do a bit of shading on here too. But we are going to add in some of the orange on this as well in a minute, to get some extra shading in on the little one. It's not so much of a worry. It's not so visible. So yeah. Right, so there's our petals done. I'm now going to get some of our carved pumpkin, and we're going to do the trumpet of the daffodil. Again, start off with a fairly watered down, and I'm literally going over the whole lot with that kind of watered down version of the colour. I'm just going to add a little bit onto here, and then down onto this little bit down here. Okay, then I'm going to go into the bit with less water, and just like before, you're picking up the bits that have got that dark emboss on them, like here. Just add it in along there, and then get some more of the watered down and go back and give that a little bit of a blend in, like so. And then if you can, if you've got steady hands, just sort of go around the edge a little bit to give that nice ruffled edge a little bit of darker colour. Okay, and then it's not going to be so visible on there, so I'm not worrying too much, but I am going to go in and just blend in that. Okay, so there's the trumpet, the orange part done. So we're going to now add in our mowed lawn, which we use for the leaves. And the process is the same for me. I always start with a watered down version to get a base coat. And I would do this if I was using alcohol markers too. I would go in with my lightest colour, and then add the shading with my darkest, and then sort of bring that out with the mid-tone. With watercolour, you're not always going to get that kind of mid-tone, so I'm just going with the light and the dark for the sake of this. Just put in, whoops. Okay, and then I'm going into this bit here, which, so I don't know if you can see that, might be off camera. This bit here, which is I haven't put so much water with, which is now our darker. So you can see it's exactly the same ink pad, but it gives us that darker tone for shading. Do it there, here, here, and then back into the more watery just to. And I'm very tempted. I'm going to go back into the orange in a moment because I don't think there's enough difference between the light and the dark in there. So we're going to have another go at that in a sec. Put a bit of shading in here. So, and we'll do the leaves. Forgot the leaves down here, didn't I? They're so tiny. So teeny tiny. And a bit of shading there. Right, so yeah, I'm going to just go back into, should clean my brush a bit better there. I'm going to go back into the Carved Pumpkin, and I'm going to add in a bit more definition. I feel like I probably added a bit too much water in that second go round. It's kind of blurred it all into one. I think that's got a little bit more definition there. Right, okay. I'm going to put that to the side before I stick my elbow in it, along with my water. And we're going to give this a blast with the heat gun. And then we're going to die cut it. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so got the dies now. What we have dies for, if I grab the stamp sheet back in, a bit of white paper. So we have a die that will cut the main daffodil. We have a die that will cut the bud. We have a die that will cut the leaf. And we have a die that will cut this little embellishment. And we also, we have this die here which will cut the little sort of frame there, the little hanging frame. We're not using that on this particular oh, that was close. This little particular thing, so we don't need that. Right, we're going to take these down. And these are dies that will leave you with a white edge. I have to say, I think I prefer them. I don't mind the white edge, and I always feel that at least then I can use the stamped line for placement. I find sometimes when they're really cut close that I'm really kind of not getting them lined up how I would like to. Yeah, it's going to be famous last words. I'm going to make a right hash of this now, I expect. But like I said, I quite like them when they leave the white edge. I find them easy to line up, and I quite like the effect of it. But that's my personal preference. Now this one, it did take me a little while the first time I used this to work out which way round this goes, and I think it's like that. I think. Well, we'll go with it and we'll see. I'm pretty sure it is. So we are going to. These are what should be fairly straightforward. They're straightforward shape dies, so they shouldn't need any more pressure than that. So we're going to put that through. Sounds like they're cutting, so we should be all right. Okay, right. So, whoop. There. And we can see they've all cut through, no problem. So let's just remove the tape and put the tape here out the way for another use on another project. Okay, and I'm going to grab my little sheet for the dies so that I do not lose them. and it shows you where they should go, and then you'll know if you're missing anything. It's got the little outlines of them. There we go. Oh, I seem to be molting my hair. That one. There's our little bud. And then our main daffodil there. So let's put that die back there and that die back there and move out the way. Right, so we have all of our pieces now. The only thing we haven't done is to stamp the sentiment. Let's grab the my bits for that and the other bits for my card. I've got my base and my mat. I've got my border, which looks like I need to trim that down on the side, which is fine. I might need to ink that a little bit more then, not a problem. And then, yeah, so we're going to use the Wordsworth quote on here, and we're going to emboss this like we embossed the other bit. So let's get my embossing powder ready. And there's my little plate there, versafine, and ooh, stamp this onto here. There we go. And on my embossing powder, a little tap to get rid of any excess. And there's that in there. I'm going to grab my tweezers just so I can hold this and not burn my fingers while it's heating. Again, wait till it starts to change and then move the heat gun along. And we're done. Okay. So we said we need to trim this off a bit, didn't we? Let's have a look. Let me put it on. Let's have a bit of a mark of where I want to trim this off. I reckon about there. About there. So grab my guillotine. I'm just going to trim these sides off. Now, it will affect, as I said when I was inking it, having that edge gives a different effect to the edge. So now I've kind of chopped that off. It probably won't be as defined. We'll see whether we like it or not when we have a look. And if we're not keen, then we just add in a little bit of ink. I think that'll be fine. I think that will be absolutely fine. Excellent. So let's assemble our card. Now we have all our bits and pieces. Ooh, that was nearly a load of embossing powder everywhere. That wouldn't have been good. Okay, so this is just paper from my stash. It just happens to be green and yellow. Why I chose it. I'm going to go with that lovely kind of spring theme. It's been really lovely this week. Feels like spring is almost knocking on our door. Garden's starting to look nice. So yes, and some nice bright cheerful colours for our daffodil card. Right, so we're going to put, I'm not going to worry about trying to put it all in where the emboss bits. You can see how deep that emboss is. So I'm going around the edge, and then I'm going to just go in this bit here, which is flat. And that should be enough glue to hold it. I'm just going to stick this to this bit of white card. Like so. And I'm just going to use a piece of paper because that's ink and my hands have got glue and other things. What I don't want to do is to make it messy. Okay, this will then fit in the middle of our card like so. So let's get some glue on that. Comme ça. That's there. Move it down slightly like so. Oh, put this onto our up there. And then I'm going to use some 3D glue gel to give this some depth. I'm going to just give my daffodil a little bit of shape, and then we're going to put our 3D glue gel down here and place our daffodil in our picture. And then we have our little bud to go down here. With a leaf. Just going to tuck that underneath like so. And then got a bow to go at the top up here. That and a little daffodil, a little embellishment on our bow. And then the last thing is our sentiment. Yeah. So here we have our one of 3 cards that I'm making with this lovely daffodil stamp and die set. So this is the stamp set, piece of paper, and then you've got the dies to cut out all these bits that I've shown you here, plus this. On this one, I've used that lovely Wordsworth quote. Then my heart with pleasure fills and dances with the daffodils. Thank you for joining me.